Liquorland are proud partners of the Sash for another season of footy. Pop into your local Liquorland today and pick up all your favourite drinks. Hey, Mert, do you like flybys?
Do I like flybys?
Would you like a chance to win a share of 20 million flyby points?
Did you say 20 million?
To enter the draw, just spend $20 on liquor at your local Liquorland from March 1st until April 11th, 2023. In-store, on or online, scan your flybys.
Mate, this is unbelievable. Greatest day of my life.
Every $20 you spend will put you in the running to win one of 3,000 prizes. So get shopping and scanning today and land a share of 20 million flyby points with Liquorland. Liquorland, from the land you love. Please drink responsibly. Let's start the show. Make sure I get the Castaway logo here.
Yeah, sorry, I was just at lost thinking about Paco.
And she was like, is it because of the Bombers?
It's Conspiracy Corner every day from here till December.
I don't know how many times I'm going to apologise, but BZT was good.
He moves in mysterious ways. Up the plays.
It's Don's footy, baby.
The Saints jump us early. Duzza almost wins a car. Caldwell kicks some freak goals, but St Kilda run us over at the G. This is the Sash, definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club. I'm your host, Rob, here with you, and joining me in Castaway Studios is Mert. Hello, mate.
G'day, mate. How are you?
I'm okay. I've definitely been darker on a Monday, but, I'm probably not as up and about as I have been the previous two. What about yourself?
Yeah, this is the Essendon we know, isn't it?
This is
we're back now.
Yeah, it's the safe feeling that we've come used to of just being a little bit disappointed. Yeah. Let's just get stuck straight into it because there's plenty to talk about. Been lots of discussion between ourselves and our message group. Lots of good discussions on the Essendon digital space, and I mean, there's so much to talk about with this game, to be honest. But I think let's try and go through it. Maybe piece by piece. Quarter one, quarters 2 and 3 are pretty similar, and then probably the last quarter, I think, is how we look at it. But quarter one, I'll start by saying it. I think we lost the game in the first 10 minutes. We absolutely just totally cocked it up and blew it. It was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it's always going to be hard to come back from a start like that, I think. We were just, without actually looking at the numbers, we were just, absolutely beaten. Contested ball, clearances, all that contest work just absolutely annihilated in the first quarter, and it really wasn't until the second quarter that I thought we got going. I'm not even sure if we even had a clearance in that first quarter. I just, remember everything going St Kilda's way as far as the contest went, and them just being absolutely dominant. And then, the other way, we would just, somehow we'd be clearing the ball from our defensive 50, one kick later, turnover, and all of a sudden we've got our defenders sitting 30 metres off their opponents somehow when we hadn't even broken the lines or anything. So we would just, there were flaws everywhere.
Yeah, sleeping at the wheel, I guess is the one way people would describe it. And they kicked the first 5 goals plus, I think, and 4 behind. So they had 9 scoring shots until we eventually registered a point through Archie Perkins, and then he went on to goal a little bit after that. And it's just everything that could go wrong to start a game went on. We gave away some dumb frees,
50s.
some dumb 50s. Some people may say we're there, some people may say we're not. And then on top of that, just, like you said, the defensive work, the clearance work, turnovers, it was just the worst possible start. And as it, came clear pretty quickly that, this Ross Lyon St Kilda, this is a stingy team. They don't give away easy goals. They make you work for absolutely everything. And, it felt like there for that first quarter, I was like, we might not score a goal in this game. This looks very, very hard. And you can see why they're 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, to me it looked like a real kind of a whoosher, or once he's kind of lost the players, or, a truck Rutten of last year once he lost the players kind of performance. It was just, I mean, we clearly didn't rock up at the start, but it just makes it so tough on everyone within the team to try and come back from that mentally. And I mean, to their credit, they did, but I mean, you just can't be expecting to be starting that far behind and actually getting anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like there are fewer teams than there are teams that you can get that sort of turnaround against. And I know we've done it, a few times in the past. I think Collingwood last year, they maybe got a jump on us in that later game, and then obviously we came back and then lost it in the end. But you just don't want to be doing that. Like unless it's like a real bad side who just happened to have a little fleeting moment in the first quarter. Like I feel like it's very rare that you come back from that and then win. You spend all your energy, whether it be physical or emotional, getting back in, and there's a bit of relief. Like I felt there was a relief when we did we get in front by a point or was it scores level? It was one of the two when Caldwell scored that second goal.
Level, yeah.
And then there was this sort of like, oh, we're back in the game. But then I feel like it, as a group that they all sort of just went, oh, all right, now we do it. And then in that sigh, St Kilda went, no, we're back in it. And then they ran away with the game.
Yeah, a similar thing happened in the second quarter where, we kicked a few goals and came within, I think, a couple of goals. And then all of a sudden, St Kilda managed to kick one against the Tide.
Yeah.
And from there, then they kicked another, 3 or 4, and it was straight back out to where it had kind of started at. And that was, in end of the day, that scoreline seriously flattered us. We kicked a number of junk time goals once we'd lost the game in that last quarter. And yeah, we weren't within 18 points of St Kilda.
No, definitely not. And their small forwards gave us a lesson. And going into the game, if you'd asked me what Essendon's strength was in the back line, I would have said it was our mid to small defenders. And I mean, I think they were totally outclassed. Obviously, it doesn't help when their forwards are getting such good service. But that was sort of the tale. And I felt like the second and third, we did get on top. Our ball movement was a lot better, which I really like to see. I thought we spread them around the ground, we pushed them wide, we really tried to work through that zone, and there were some really good passages where we went end to end, kicks and marks, a bit of play on here, get the guy running past, and I was like, all right, this is looking like a better system than what we've seen probably in the last couple of years of us moving the ball forward. Yeah, not all of those resulted in goals because let's face it, our forward line didn't have a great day, but there were some signs there against, as I said, what is, a very, very good setup. Like, if you notice the way they set up early on, particularly from kickouts, like how high they press up, like they really don't want people to take that short kick where a lot of other teams will go, we'll concede that 25-metre pass from a point, but, we won't let you go the long one. Whereas St Kilda were like, no, we're not going to even let you have that. Yeah. And I think for some of our... I actually didn't check the stats on who took most of the kickouts. I know Redmond does it quite a fair bit, but I felt like that kind of rattled us a little bit. And, particularly early on and in that first half especially, we'd get it kicked out and then, it was coming straight back into their forward line.
Yeah, I think, it's certainly somewhere we fell down. I think the other way when they were kicking out, far too often were they able to just kind of waltz out of their defence. That happened in the Gold Coast game as well. So there's clearly something structurally wrong there. And, again, credit to the fact that we were able to kind of lock that down at certain stages during the game. And we did tighten up a lot. But there's still, there was a point in the first quarter where they just went end to end, and it was basically just uncontested football, and it happened in the Gold Coast game as well. I think obviously they're learning a new game plan, they're learning under a new coach, so it's not going to be seamless. But
so are they.
Yeah, I mean, they're a fair bit more developed than us, I think. In terms of where their list is at.
I would agree with that.
I mean, at the same time, it's hard not to look at that kind of performance, particularly, second half of that last quarter and most of that first quarter, and just think it's an effort and intensity kind of thing. Because when you're getting absolutely, unceremoniously belted in the contested ball, you're not having defenders or forwards for that matter compete in the air, and it really does look like a completely uncompetitive outfit, then you've really got to question what's going on there.
Yeah, no, there were definitely some bad signs. I'll just quickly, before we talk about the last quarter and then get into some other stuff, once again, that first quarter was another display of wet weather football destroying Essendon. It can't think of many times where a bit of rain has done us well. I think might have been a win in the first year of the truck era, where we did get a win in the wet, where it rained the last quarter and then we kind of turned it. But, gee, there's a lot of players on our side who, when their hands get wet, they just lose the ability to, play footy.
Yeah, heaps of them. As you say, it's been the case for a while, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe the big indoor hangar isn't really helping us.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go outdoors a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to know how often they train the wet. I don't get out to training that much, so I'm not quite sure. The last quarter, awesome start. Kicked some really good goals. Maybe let's just talk about Jai Caldwell now, because, gee, that was two of the most impressive goals I've seen from a guy who is not really a forward, and a pretty impressive point that, almost snuck in as well when he hit the post.
Yeah.
We spoke about it a little bit last Monday. I spoke about it with Rowan on our Thursday night show about how last season he was rated number 1 for touches resulting in a goal. So being involved in a scoring chain, basically score involvement per disposal.
Yeah.
Gee, the kid has some serious class about him.
Yeah, I think, for me, the most impressive part of him is his grunt. I think he's really that, everyone talks about an inside bull. Doesn't matter which team it is, but everyone talks about it, everyone wants it, and I think he is really the epitome of an inside bull. He might not be 6'4", but his hardness at the contest is just incredible. And, we talked about his hands below his knees last week. Yeah, right up there, I think. So he's certainly impressed me, not only for those reasons and those kind of skills and aggression at the contest, but even just for his aptitude to take on kind of a new role. He's obviously a midfielder. He's played entirety of his juniors as a midfielder. He's a top 10 pick.
I think so, yeah. I might have to double check.
Thereabouts.
He was a first rounder, I'm pretty sure.
He was a first rounder. As a midfielder, inside mid.
Pick 11, there you go.
And for him to kind of adopt this new role up forward, take it head on, and he's played some massive two games for us, the last 2 games, despite not having huge numbers in terms of disposals. Every one of those disposals has really counted for us. So, massive fan of Jai's work, and I know you're going to touch on this later, but I think he just needs to get in the guts.
Yeah, we'll get into those numbers in a sec. He reminds me of a terrier with a stick. Those little dogs where you play with your mate's dog and he has the ball and they just won't let you have it. He's
a staffy.
Like you said, he's not very big in stature as compared to some other players getting around these days, but he makes you work for it, and he can sometimes embarrass a few players in the way he goes about it.
Yeah, he's a good country boy, good Bendigo boy. So tough as nails, I think, Jai.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, once we leveled the score, it just fell apart, and Jack Higgins got on the end of one, Gresham got on the end of one. I can't remember who else it was. Butler got on the end of one. Hill even got on one. And that was it. It was just, I felt like we just spent all our tickets. They were running into space and too often. And look, I can understand it can be hard for defenders that when the ball is just streaming down there to get to space, but gee, felt like to me there's a lot of time where some of our defenders were, just caught ball watching while their man has run 10 metres off and taken an uncontested mark.
Yeah, I think it's a hard matchup, and maybe it was kind of a selection table kind of thing that we should have taken into account a bit better. I know, obviously, we didn't bring in Baldwin probably for that very reason, but, and they've got 3 or 4 guys who are either flankers or small, forward pockets, then, you certainly have to have some kind of contingency plan, I think, in place, and obviously didn't work for us. I still think we're a bit unlucky, to be honest. We didn't set up as well as we would have liked. We didn't come, as we've said, we didn't come with that aggression at the contest, and we, that desire to really win that hard ball from the outset. But we got ourselves back into the game twice.
Yeah.
And against the Tide, we managed to we conceded basically what were two relatively lucky goals, I thought.
Yeah.
And from there, a couple more came through. So I think just the fact that we had so much of that build up and so much dominance in that play through those two periods, and I just feel like that one goal the other way really, for whatever reason, like I think that really just cooked us both times. And I don't mean that as an excuse. I just think, it could have easily kind of gone the other way.
Yeah, exactly. And, you do have to wonder if, if Caldwell put all three through and then instead of being level, we went a goal up, like then there's that sort of bit of a pressure. But, they responded emphatically and walked away with a deserved win.
Or if Harry Jones kicks straight or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, there was a few.
And I mean, even Martin, like we all love Nick Martin, but, he comes away, misses two very gettable goals.
Did we moz Nick Martin? Is it my fault? Is it our fault?
I thought he was excellent on Saturday. I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
But
apart from those shots and a couple of turnovers, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, he was one of our best for the game for me. His work in traffic was just so good. So
he got 3 coaches' votes.
Yeah.
Caldwell got 2 and Parrish got 2. So
I'm a bit surprised about that because I thought one of the key takeouts and one of the positives for the game for me was Jordan Ridley's return to form. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah.
I think he took 14 marks, took a lot of intercept marks.
He definitely took the most contested for an Essendon player.
Yeah.
When I was having a peek at the stats this morning.
He did gas one switch of play.
Yes.
He wasn't alone in that, so I can kind of forgive him given, it's so out of his nature. But, yeah, he seemed to be back to his form of 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the full votes, and I mean, pretty unexpected who's at the top. So Mason Wood, 10 votes, absolutely destroyed us. We'll pick up a chat about him in a second. Cal Wilkie, 8, Higgins, 4, Martin, 3, Caldwell, 2, Parrish, 2, Butler, 1. The one thing I was thinking, watching Mason Wood play that game and just outmarking everyone around the ground, like outmarking what is a relatively small Essendon midfield. I know... When they have the run and jump at it, particularly like say Sam Durham, for instance, when he has a run and jump, as we saw nearly taking the mark of the year there, when he has a run and jump, he's a great mark, but he obviously can get easily bodied by a bigger guy. And they punished us for that. It was clear. It was a clear tactic for them that they identified that Mason Wood is a clear mismatch, whether it be Martin, whether it be Heppel, whether it be Durham, that he will just completely outbody them, get the mark and move on. And I was sitting there in the second half of the game going like, I know he's a young kid anyway, but I was like, gee, it'll be nice if we can get Nick Cox back on a wing because I feel like even though he's a small frame for a big guy, he might have made a bit more of a contest in some of those one or more marks on the wing.
Yeah, it's a massive out having that, kick down the line, tall winger kind of player.
Yeah,
it's increasingly become a part of the game, I think, and even just from, we were talking about it kind of 2 or 3 years ago.
Like Tom Lynch from Adelaide, I remember he was one where he was sort of like a high half forward and he'd press up and he was just the constant go-to man for Adelaide when they were quite good for a couple of years there.
Yeah, and I mean now we've got Owen Davey Jr. who just takes speckies over everyone everywhere.
His hands are so good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I mean, Archie Perkins is kind of one of those. He plays a lot taller. He's not big. Kyle Langford is obviously one of those and one we can use to our advantage if we're not playing him deep in defence for some reason after he's been our best player up forward.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the idea with Duzza, but defensively, it's just a different story, and doesn't particularly help if it's being sat on your head and, as you say, you don't have a run on it.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. All right, I'll give you an option. Do you want to talk about midfields or forwards? Where do you want to go? We'll talk about both. Where do you want to start?
Let's go forwards.
All right, so how I sort of feel about our forward line at the moment, particularly watching that game, is that we're in a bit of a, robbing Peter to pay Paul type scenario where it's clear that we need more contested marks. Our best forward is out for some time, but it's also quite clear that we need some pressure to make sure we're not getting killed by halfbacks. Unfortunately, we lost both of those on the weekend. So you sort of have to look at going, depending on the game, what system's going to work better? Is it a case of having 2 rucks, drapes and flip, and then you have maybe 2 other talls or a tall and a mid? Is it a case of having sort of 2 or 3 talls and then another mid-sized player and a single ruckman? Or is it better running a smaller option? I'm interested to see what you sort of prefer, and I know week to week it can be different. And I'm also generally just interested to see what, the listeners and the faithful, how they sort of view it, of what they would sort of prefer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know, because it does kind of change on a week to week basis, and it has to be dependent on who the opposition is. I think obviously in this, in the circumstances that we faced on the weekend, we got Phillips, who was down with injury in any case. End up running with Harry Jones and Wiedemann. Wiedemann, and I know there's been a lot of discussion online about Harry Jones obviously subbed off again, and speaking about Voss coming in for him. Then for me, it's not necessarily the same position at all. And so I think it creates kind of an interesting dynamic in that forward line. If you're taking out a Harry Jones, who I actually thought he was a lot better than Wiedemann was, particularly in that first half. He actually led up and took some marks, created that option, not really within range of goals, but at least up the ground, and was a link-up kind of traditional centre forward type, Nick Rewalt type centre forward, roaming centre forward. Subbed off, I assume he was subbed off because Wiedemann has the string to his bow of being a ruckman as well, can fill in as a ruckman.
Yes.
We're not doing that with Harry, so
I was going to say I wouldn't call him a ruckman, but yes, we could throw him in there.
You can run through the ruck. He's a second ruckman. He can be, and that's really the only point of difference there. So I think, there's just issues with balance, as you say, Rob. If you've got Paco in that forward line, I want Kyle Langford in that forward line. You've obviously got a few smalls, which I think can make up for that. And then if you've got Wiedemann and Jones also playing in that forward line. So you've got Wiedemann, Jones, Paco.
Yeah.
And then at the moment we've got Archie there. Ajay. It's a pretty slow forward line.
Exactly.
Until you put in Davey.
Davey, and then... you say, so which guy were you referring to, Caldwell or Menzies?
Caldwell.
Yeah. Menzies and Davey are obviously the small pressure players.
Yeah.
Caldwell, I think, is just sort of there because we're obviously not really putting him into the midfield, and we'll get into that midfield stuff more, deeper. But yeah, I guess it really kills you when you go for players who you would rate as a, if you were doing high to low ratings, you'd rate them high as a mark but low as a pressure player, and then you're not getting that out of them, or vice versa. You've brought in a guy to be a pressure player, but he's not, not doing that.
Yeah.
And then it just all kind of falls apart, which it did in passages on the weekend. Not completely, we didn't get thrashed, but then there were definitely passages where, our marking guys got beaten, our pressure guys got beaten, and then, like you said, the ball was out, and then they were scoring a goal.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to find. It is really hard to find that balance, and I guess it's why we've ended up with Kyle Langford as a defender, because they clearly want him in the team because he's easily in our first 18.
Yeah,
but they're trying to bring these other guys, and watching Stringer on the weekend, and from what I've heard about Paddy Voss and the limited stuff that I've watched of him on the VFL streams or when I have been there, is that he's playing that role. He's playing your inside 50 guy, target man, however you want to describe it, full forward role, which is what Stringer's doing. And as we all saw on the weekend, Stringer doesn't look like a guy who's going to be pushing up the ground and doing a great deal at the moment. So
yeah, but I mean, he's never been the guy who's going to push up the field.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously, he do a centre bounce or two, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But he isn't the player he was 5 years ago in terms of his running capabilities. He's slowed down more so, I guess. Well,
he's just not fit at the moment, and that's just going to come with match fitness. So, as we know, it's just going to take games, and you just get games in with him, and that's it's just the play off with Jake.
Yeah.
he's not fit at the moment. He will be fit in 3 weeks' time. You got to persist with him because he's an absolute star, and when he's on, he's our best player. As far as Voss goes, I think the one issue with selecting him is that he is sharing that same position.
Yep.
He's 6'4", which is, fine as kind of a key forward in the VFL, not so much in the AFL.
No, it's a big step up.
He is a monster of a kid. He's got the aggression at the contest and all of that, but you can't be relying on him as, kind of a get out of jail free card as someone who can actually take a big pack mark. Not to say that he won't at all, but you can't be relying on it.
Yeah,
To the same extent as guys who are 6'6" to 6'8".
Yeah, exactly.
Like the other key, like the actual key forwards in the AFL.
Like a Peter Wright, yeah.
Yeah, like Peter Wright, like Wiedemann, who doesn't play like he's that big, and like Harry Jones.
Yeah, exactly. It's a funny one with Voss because I don't know, like, I don't know if he would be able to run up the ground like Jones can. I don't think he's able to do that.
I think he's pretty bloody fit as well.
He is Voss?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that being said, he'd almost come in and be one of our best set shots. I don't think we necessarily want him running up the field that much.
Right.
I think he's almost, a traditional full forward kind of role.
Yeah, right.
But that being said, I mean, when he came in, when we picked him up, there was word about him playing through the midfield as well, or kind of playing on a high half forward flank and then pushing through the midfield because he's so aggressive at the contest. He's so good around the ball. He's a big body, and he has a lot of attributes that it can actually be used on the ball. So, and I think given the size that he is, given the height that he is, he's almost that kind of prototype midfielder. I'm not suggesting we're going to play him in the midfield or anything like that, but the size he is, and this is the predicament we have, the size he is, he's more suited, he's basically a Patrick Cripps kind of size.
Yeah.
Maybe not that big because he's 20, but, he's a Patrick Cripps kind of size.
He's 194, isn't he?
He's not like a, Richmond Tom Lynch or a 2 metre Peter size.
No. 194, 96 kilos.
Yeah, so 6'4".
Yeah, he's solid. He's solid.
But big boy.
Yeah, very big boy. Yeah, and I guess the other one for me, like, and look, he didn't play VFL on the weekend, which makes me believe that it was more of a management than an omission. But I really felt that we missed Flip there at times.
Yeah, we did big time. He was injured.
Yeah, so like I think he just gives Drapes that chop out because, as you saw at times, that
Big time.
Marshall's ability to get around the ground, get into space, be a good marking options forward or back is so vital for them. And then, just someone who I guess just keeps people accountable in that forward line because, not trying to sit here and pop blokes, but it did feel like there were a lot of times where Wiedemann was going up for contests with, competition against him and it looked like it was just bouncing out of his hands. I know it's hard at times in a big pack, and my Melbourne mate was sort of like, "Yeah, that's what he's like, man. That's what he like. He goes up and then doesn't always get it." And I was like, okay."
It wasn't even that for me. The annoying thing for me was the number of times that neither of our key forwards contested the ball and brought it down.
Yeah.
And all you're asked of your key forwards to do on a night like that, when it was raining at the start of the game, is to make sure the ball hits the deck. Get it down to the smalls. We got smalls at their feet, and we did have smalls at their feet. There were packs around them. And so much of the time when we had those forward entries, specifically in that first half of the game, it was out of nowhere a St Kilda defender would just take this pack mark.
Yeah.
And we couldn't take a pack mark to save ourselves for the whole game.
Yeah.
But kicking into our forward 50, the opposition was able to do it at will.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just not good enough for guys who are 6'7" and above to not even contest the ball and not bring it to ground. And like last week we spoke about Jones and spoke about him going to ground far too easy. Without wanting to be too critical on Harry, and I don't because I think, he's still, 21? 22 maybe?
About that, he's definitely under 23.
He's played less than 40 games.
22.
Yeah. Less than 30 games, has he? I think he's around 35.
It's not many. Hold on.
Yeah, irrespective. Hasn't played a lot of footy. Got heaps of time. He's now taking mostly taking the best defender.
29 games.
29 games.
It's not many. That's not many.
Taking the best defender as well at the moment. So I think we can just kind of relax on Harry a little bit. He does need to fix his goal kicking. And I think that's a mental thing. But everyone's gone at Harry. I'd be much more concerned about Wiedemann's performance on the weekend, to be honest.
No, that's
For an established player,
yeah.
to be putting up a performance like that, and he really did look feeble to me.
Yeah, no, exactly. You just want more. Like you said, you just want a contest. Look, sometimes they are going to mark it. That's fair, but it did seem like it was happening too many. And I will just touch on this. St Kilda defenders, really good at pulling on jumpers, really good at doing that, and they're definitely a stingy bunch. So
we didn't have a whole lot go our way either, as far as the umpires went. But I don't think that's the reason we lost.
No, far
still
from
not
it.
good enough.
Still not good enough.
Dogs.
Quickly, before we move from forwards to mids,
ADJ, more,
yeah,
more ADJ,
more ADJ.
So I went to 3 different badge stations.
Yeah, couldn't get one.
They don't have them. They're not selling Owen Davey Jr. badges. They haven't made them. Like they don't even have them displayed on the screen saying that they've sold out of them. They don't have them.
Why? Who is running this operation?
We should start making badges.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
People still won't buy them. Though.
Yeah.
I will.
I actually, funnily enough, I was doing a bit of cleaning this morning and I dug up my Nick Cox badge. I was going to wear it in. I forgot to.
I got Coxie on my desk at home.
Do you?
Yeah, he watches me work.
Nice. Yeah. No, he's sitting in a drawer for me at the moment. When he's fit, I'll get him out.
Yeah.
I'll get him out. Midfielders. So this was something that was being discussed on the old Bombers Twitter space. A shout to all those people who get involved in a bit of chatter, and people were talking about our midfield balance and, people getting time in the guts, whether it just be a centre bounce or even, actually following the ball around for a little spell or whatever it may be. And I thought I'd actually go have a look at the numbers, and I thought this was pretty interesting. I guess I forgot who said it, but there isn't, this isn't a key to a lock type scenario. There isn't a one size fits all situation with these midfield numbers. This is more of a pure going. This is interesting observation of something that we aren't doing, or we are doing, depending which way you look at it, compared to the other teams who are at the top of the ladder. So for our centre bounce attendances, of which there's been 92 so far this season, we've only had 5 people in there. I'm talking about midfielders here. Anyone who rucks. Phillips, Draper, Wiedemann, I'm not including in this whatsoever. Same with the other clubs. So Setterfield, Parrish, Merritt and Shield average between them from, in that order they listed, 78%, 75%, 64%, 74%, and then 66%. So it's always those 3. And then the other one I'm assuming is spending some time on the bench. I think we'd all agree that that is our best midfielders. But what's interesting is about where there is balance of bringing other guys into the game to give them an opportunity, or maybe just try something different when things aren't going our way, which it definitely did at times on the weekend. Jai Caldwell is the 5th player. He's been in there 6 times across the 3 games. So averaging two per game. He had more actually this weekend than he had in other games. In the Hawthorn game, for example, if you're smashing a team, you don't really need to change it. But I feel like
that's the perfect opportunity to do it, though.
Oh, potentially, yeah. That's exactly.
That's when you give them the run.
Exactly. Or obviously when things aren't going your way, when St Kilda had a run on, maybe you go, let's try and throw someone else into the mix. So we had 5. St Kilda have had 9 guys go through there. Bearing in mind they have had some injuries, so that kind of changes things up.
Yeah.
I think probably one I would look at where they've had guys basically play most of the games is Carlton. So they've actually had 5 guys as a big spread, and then they've had a few other guys who've thrown in there for a little bit. So Hewitt, Cripps, Chera, Curnow and Kennedy do the bulk of the work. And then Doherty's been in there, Fisher's been in there.
Yeah, see, but
Blake Acres has gone in there at times.
That's kind of the point, though, isn't it? Like, there's a substantial drop-off for Carlton after their top 5. And their top 5 are, amongst the best 5 in the league. Yeah. So, whereas with us, I think there's... and we've got a Ben Hobbs sitting in the VFL as well. If you're not using those rotations, like Archie Perkins is just being wasted in the forward line. Yeah. Jai Caldwell's being wasted in the forward line.
I'll give you another example then. So Melbourne, who obviously have arguably 1-2 best two midfielders in the competition, depending how you look at it.
Seen this,
So Oliver and Petrarca take the bulk. Oliver's 85% of the time, Petrarca's 71%. But then there's a little bit more of a spread. Like Viney has missed some football. He didn't play round one, but he's 61%. And then A and B does go there, but Harms, Sparrow, and Jordan. This is where I think it's interesting because you've got your clear better three, but then Harms, Sparrow, and Jordan, 42%, 40%, 36%.
Brayshaw?
Brayshaw has only been in there 6% of the time.
That's surprising.
So, sorry, 6%.
I guess he's kind of played on the wing for the last couple
yeah,
of
he's
years.
been a winger, so he's gone there 6 times. Cozzie's been in there 7 times. Rivers 4, Brayshaw 4.
So Cozzie's been in there more than Caldwell for us.
And Cozzie played 1 game.
Yeah.
We ran 1. So it's interesting. Good. And like again, so this is an observation about going, all right, this is something interesting that they're not really giving guys a crack, but look, it won't be this way the whole season. Someone will get injured. People try. But I do just sort of feel that we've got guys who can go in there and maybe we want to develop them there long term. Like a Perkins, like you said, potentially when Stringer's got a bit more match fitness, they might throw him in there. If Hobbs gets back in the team, surely he's going to spend some time in there.
Yeah.
I just find it interesting that we've basically just gone, this is the 4 guys we're running with, and we've done it 3 weeks in a row. So
I hope it just doesn't mean that we're back to no plan B again, like we've seen in the past. I hope we actually, I hope our coaching staff do have the ability to change things up.
Yeah, exactly. I guess my other point would be that in a year where, it's been very much put on us by Brad and some of the other Essendon people that, it's a development year, it's a long year, we're young, yada, yada, that we're actually not trying guys out. Like if we were sitting here expecting that we were going to be going for a tilt, like say Carlton, for example, yeah, you better bloody be playing our best guys. Like that's what we're trying to do. But I feel like we're not, I feel like there's an expectation, at least there was pre-season, that we're not playing finals, which means that let's develop guys. So that's why I'm surprised to see not much of Jai, not much of Perkins, and then we'll see with other guys as they come into the side. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah. I guess it's one where we just kind of wait and see. And as you say, there will be injuries. We already have them substantially.
Yep.
But yeah, I just do hope that we get to see Archie be played through the guts, and especially Caldwell.
Yeah.
It'd be a real shame if we don't.
Yeah, no, he's so bloody clean, Mr. Jai, so I'd love to see him get there.
It's just a monster.
Anyone particular you'd like to single out for a good or a bad? Obviously...
Mason Redmond had an absolute stinker.
I was going to say, that's
the
probably the
worst I've seen him play in 3 years, I reckon. More.
Definitely a night to forget for Mace, which is unfortunate because his first 2 games were stellar. And we were talking about All-Australian last weekend, so definitely not doing him any favours in that regard. Look, Heps again, I think was poor.
He's got to go.
Yeah,
it's going to be a really interesting selection this week.
Yeah,
I think because I think I just have a feeling that Voss is going to come in. He's now strung together a series of good performances with another 4 goals too on the weekend, and I think 1 out on the full.
Yep.
So yeah, I've just got a feeling he's in. Who it's for, I'm not sure. Is Phillips going to be right? Is Guelphy going to be right? I'm not sure what his injury in the end was. Is Hobbs going to be, back? Will he be in the VFL, I presume?
BZT.
BZT is another one. It's, an interesting number of kind of varied players putting their hands up.
Yeah.
And personally, as you said, Rob, I think I just don't think Draper's fit. Like
doesn't look it.
His contest work around the ground is really kind of suffering at the moment, and his work in the ruck contest is exceptional. Like he hands down beat them again.
Oh, his
tap work was just so good.
I think it was was it the 3rd quarter or 4th quarter? Which was going City end? Was that our 3rd quarter going City end?
I don't know which way the City end is. To the right.
To your right, if you're sitting like television.
Yeah,
to the
that
right.
was the last quarter.
We were going that way. So yeah. There were times in that quarter, especially early on, like it was the classic Draper tap, ball goes to ground, and then he beats the midfielder, rows it himself, and is moving it out.
Yeah.
It's like he's doing that, but like you said, just the round the ground stuff wasn't there. And
He got
Marshall
he
beating
got killed by Marshall around the ground.
Yeah, it was almost a carbon copy of the practice game.
Yeah.
So
Whereas if you got Phillips following him around the ground more, like I said this in the Gold Coast game, I thought Phillips was almost our fittest player.
Yeah.
He was just running on top of the ground for, even in the last quarter. And I think that was instrumental in us getting over.
yeah.
So if he's fit, I'd like to see Phillips back in. We know Brian's done a hammy a couple of weeks ago in the twos, which is what we do to young players. So that's another good one. But I'd like to see Phillips in. I think something's got to happen with the forward line. If Phillips is in, then I think that gives room to get rid of Wiedemann for a week or for a couple of weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe that sees Voss come in as well.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Knowing Essendon will probably go in unchanged. That's the way we roll.
I'd be really cut if we go in unchanged. Heppel's just, he needs a spell. He needs to find the footy in the twos. He needs to get confidence back in his kicking. It's I'm not going to be overly critical of him because, to be honest, I actually feel really sorry for him. It's really sad to watch at the moment.
Yeah.
And he has been a champion of our club and obviously a captain of our club through the darkest time that we've ever had. And he was the one who stood up and took on the captaincy after that. So he's been massive for us. And, it's just really disheartening, as I'm sure it is for all Essendon supporters, to see him turn over the ball like he did on Saturday night and then, kind of slowly, jogging back, kind of hands up in the air. Saw him pointing a few fingers the last couple of weeks. And, I don't think he's mentally in a great place, which is understandable. But I think the best way to actually manage that is not to get him on the big stage again and to let him build a bit of confidence in his body, in his skills, in his capabilities for the rest of the season, second half of the season perhaps.
The skills is the one for me because I'm not expecting to see him burn players. I'm not expecting to see him like crash packs or anything like that. Like I'm expecting him to receive the ball in a chain in an uncontested manner and hit a target. And he's not doing that right now.
No, his age is off it.
It's very sad to see. All right, Merty, I think it's time for some hot takes. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I love it.
All right, let's do it. Thank you as always to everyone who contributed. A big fat language warning for everyone at home who doesn't want to hear a few F-bombs because there's definitely going to be a few in here.
Normally we do that post F-bomb.
Yeah, we do a post F-bomb. Yeah. Usually I forget. Today I remember to put on my run sheet language warning. So thank you as always to everyone who put them in.
So we can say fuck now.
if you wish, if you really wish. I think I said it about 10 seconds into our podcast the other day and I was like, I got to do better than that. All right. Thank you as always to everyone who sent them in. Can't play them all. Remember, people, there are some things that I will never go to air. Like, I'll laugh at them privately when I hear them, but there's some things that will never see the light of day. And also, I encourage people to be interesting in what they say rather than hanging shit on people, which that seems to be a common theme. Anyway, let's get into it. First one's from Emmanuel. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Look, I was very disappointed with the overall result last night. I thought the first quarter we didn't play very well at all, and there was always going to be an uphill battle playing catch-up footy. Saints just spread at the stoppages very well and outworked us in every way. I really hope that Brad Scott can pinpoint all the things that that went wrong for us, and we can improve. The only positive I could really take out of that was usually in those types of games where the margin blows out to 4 or 5 goals, we'd usually roll over and lose by more, but we actually, in the end, was able to keep some respectability on the scoreboard. So that was pretty good. I thought that was a positive thing. But yeah, we can't have a first quarter like that ever again.
There we go. Thanks, Emmanuel. I thought I'd start with a nice, sensible one today. A nice, sensible one to kick things off.
I was waiting for him to start yelling or make like a dick joke or something. Yeah, like the rest of them.
Yeah, no, I thought I'd start with a nice, clean, simple one. But yeah, you made a good point. It was something you touched on earlier that it was nice to see we were able to close the gap a little bit. Yes, the final scoreline flattered us, but the fact that we brought it back rather than just giving up a quarter time. is a positive to take away from it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one is from Big Wet Plane brackets lid on. Let's have a listen.
The lid is absolutely back on.
Hello, Redmond. What the fuck, mate? Hello, Heppel. What? Jesus. We look like shit. We looks like fucking shit. Sorry, boys. Jesus. Wanna burn my membership and just fucking go for the Suns or something. Fuck. Could've gone 3-0, but we're still shit. Could've gone 3-0, but we're still fucking shit. Yeah. Boys, the lid's straight back on. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was so good. I put a note on saying might have to hire this bloke for a live show because they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I like these. I guess are they covers or I don't know what you call them, but yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, I like it.
That was beautiful. I'm hoping to see that charting on Triple J tomorrow. So I reckon that's what we need. All right, next one. Bit of change of tone. Next one is from Matt. I hope I play the right one because there's a couple of Matts here. Let's have a listen.
Two pretty matched even sides, big game. Saints won 50th. I think the key difference was we had Heppel and they didn't. Get him on the truck, lads. Send him to Richmond.
There we go. That was probably the nicest Heppel one that I'm going to play today because the rest were mostly just F this bloke.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to play them.
No, you shouldn't.
But that's it from Matt. And yeah, I think a lot of supporters are pretty down on the former skip, which, like you said, is just a bit sad to be honest.
Big test, I think, this week.
Yeah, big test. Big test if he does stay in the side.
Big test of the coach,
Yeah.
the selection,
Yeah.
panel.
If his history at North Melbourne tells us anything, is that he keeps faith in aging veterans for a while before he decides to cull them.
Unceremoniously sacks them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Prematurely.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him named again, just going off the history of Brad Scott. I'm not saying I agree
I'll
with
be
it.
disappointed if he is.
I think most people will be disappointed. Next one is from El Sudman. Thank you, sir.
Hey boys, El Sudman here. Look, it was a tale of two teams tonight. The first one shit the bed at the start and shit the bed at the end. And the second one played pretty fucking well and gave us a fair bit of hope. The problem is the shit team cost us the game. And I think that really summarises where we're at. We did not turn up. We gave the Saints a lead. I gifted them 3 goals at the start of the game. And then the proper team turned up after we were 34 points down. And then Laverde kicks it and we lose momentum. It also really showed that there are some guys in the team who just aren't turning up and who aren't there right now. Heppel, looking at you, time to go. Cheers, mate. Harry Jones off to the VFL, get big fucking Paddy Voss in there. And I reckon it's time for Hobbsy too. Yeah, cheers, boys. Up the fucking plains.
Thank you, El Sudman. I think we've given plenty of attention to both the Heppel and the Jones discussions. Anything more to add on that?
Yeah, Hobbs is injured on the weekend, so there's a pretty limited chance of being brought into the ones, I reckon.
Yeah. Fair point. The word I was looking for before was parody. That's what that guy does with those songs. They're parodies. Right. I don't know why I thought of cover. I just went blank. In my head, all I could have, my voice was saying Weird Al Yankovic. I'm like, yeah, that's not a genre. Parody. That was the word I was looking for. Next one is from Big D. Thanks, Big D.
G'day, boys. Love the pod. Keep it up. You're doing a bit better than fucking Essendon at the moment. In saying that, though, Caldwell, surely goal of the year, but fuck me, Heppel. If you're going to be in the team, you got to hit targets because you're not there for your fucking leg speed. Love you, boys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Big D. Thank you, Big D. I thought I cut all the Heppel ones, but apparently I didn't. That was okay. Compared to some of the other ones, that was fine. That was fine. Let's keep flying through. Next one's from Joel. Thank you, Joel.
Forget about the loss. Jai Caldwell is the hottest player around. Those 2 goals he kicked had me rock hard. Go Dons.
There's a lot of boner talk on this show, isn't it?
Just fucking rock hard every week. Jesus, like we fucking lost.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's been taking those blue pills, but people might have to stop out there, I think.
Yeah, kickers.
Yeah, there's a few too many just having blue boys during the game. Next one's from Pern. Thank you, Pern.
G'day, fellas. Long time, first time. Let's be honest. We lost that one tonight before the first ball was bounced. It was lost at selection. Maybe it's time for Dodoro to finally get the ask from that match selection committee. But let's go through it. Flip and Guelphy, ripper performances last week. Back to the Magoos for you blokes. Paco, clearly underdone. Let's bring him in. Hep, totally cooked, mate. You are cooked. I love you, but it's time to go. And to top it all off, we have a bloke snag 5. How many times have we had a bloke kick 5 goals in the last 10 years? Why don't we send him back to the back line? Makes total sense. Anyway, less Essington, more Essendon next week. Cheers, lads.
So obviously, as we spoke about, Flip and Guelph were injured, which is why they weren't selected.
Yep.
He makes a great point at the end there. We haven't really addressed this too much, but Kyle Langford kicked 5 goals last week and then lined up as a halfback/back pocket.
I mentioned it.
Very, very strange. We didn't get into it a lot, but it's very strange.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That's it. It's strange.
Especially when, we can't seem to kick goals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, I just didn't think we needed him in defence at any stage. Anyway.
No. It was, when I first heard that he was playing there in the VFL before round 1, I was shocked. I was.
It's an awful call.
Yeah.
And I think it also takes away some of that flexibility that we can have from playing him on a wing and then moving him forward, because he often starts on just outside of that centre contest and then moves forward, and he creates a really tough matchup for the opposition when he does that. So the other one was Paco. To be honest, I was just surprised that he didn't have another week in the VFL. Hindsight's 2020. He didn't play as well as we would have liked. He'll be better for the run. I think maybe it's just one of those ones that we kind of concede on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Need to get him in. We want to get him fit for Anzac Day.
Yep.
We want him in the side performing well for Anzac Day. So, sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Well said. A couple more to go. This one's from Anonymous. Thank you, whoever this is.
Pretty good game tonight, boys. We did lose it in the first quarter. However, pretty impressed by what I saw, even though we were 4 goals down in the last quarter and we still fought back, taking home the last 2 goals. Keep it up. Keep up the good work, and we'll just learn from today. Go Dons!
Nice positive one there.
Yeah, that was good.
A nice, sensible, positive one. Which
Need
I
to think of a name though.
Yeah. I feel like the person sending clear just didn't click. I think if you don't select a name, it just says anonymous rather than.
To be honest, I don't even know how to do it, and if I did, you would be getting so many.
You click the link, and then there's a microphone button. You hold it down, and you talk. That's basically it.
Nah.
That's too much for you.
Yeah.
2 to go. This one's from Planes Go Boom.
Fuck me, boys. Now I know Joey Danaher was pretty shit the other night, but when does Jake Stringer end up in that same category? When we see enough shit from him. He's played less than 20 games for the last 5 seasons, boys.
That's not right.
When do we actually start putting him in the same category as Joey Danaher? Is he coming back? Every season we see him and we think this is going to be his year, but it's not.
This is fucking bullshit.
There's more to go.
Jake Stringer, you're making the planes go.
Despite the inaccuracies, I put that in for the sound effect, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we did have a discussion in pre-season about, You know, are we worried that Jake is going that way of being, injured more than playing? It does seem to be that way, particularly in the last year, but prior to that, it was not the case, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I don't know if I said this last week or if I just said it, to mates around the time of the podcast, but we mismanaged him last year. We had him sprinting laps for some reason a week before the season started, and he did a hammy, or did a groin.
Yeah.
We then decided to play him clearly a week too early, and he redid it.
Yeah, that's right.
Which we did, with another 5 players as well, early on in the season. And then he redid it towards the end of the season as well. That is purely down to mismanagement on the part of our fitness staff. So if a guy's not able to run for the first half of the pre-season because of our mismanagement, then I don't think he really give him a huge chance to be, fit and raring to go for the start of the season. And that's what's happened here. Give him a few games, as I've said.
Well said.
One thing I won't cop is just unnecessary criticism of Paco. Anyone else?
Yeah, no, he's definitely a favourite. Last one's from Simple. Thank you, Simple.
Patrick Voss simply must play. Get him in. Get him in.
Simply must play.
100%.
Simply must play.
100%.
Simply must play for a little while.
Simply must play.
Yep. Let's actually, before we take a break there, back at Marvel on Sunday. You know what that means, Merty? You know
Free
what's at
beers.
Marvel? Maybe if you're with someone who's buying you beers, but you know what it means.
You just walk through like the walkout, but you don't walk out. You drink them.
Yeah. What it means is
Not that I've ever done that.
Yeah. What it means is that you get to sit in the Medallion Club.
Yeah.
Thanks to our mates at Ticket Blaster.
Yeah.
I know for a fact there is going to be a giveaway this week. There is going to be a giveaway. There's going to be some free tickets. Yeah. Thanks to our mates at Ticket Blaster. For Sash listeners, for Sunday, Medallion Club versus the Giants. How good is that?
Flybys?
Maybe flybys too. If you hear the ad, there might be some flybys involved. But there's definitely Medallion Club seats available. Thank you for our friends at Ticket Blaster, and we'll be giving those away during the week. So keep an eye out on the socials, people.
ADJ
on a Sunday. How good's that?
Badges?
Maybe badges. If Ticket Blaster can sort Owen Davey Jr. badges for us, that'd be great. I would love that.
Yeah.
I'd love that. Let's take a break.
Someone needs to.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll chat with the great man Paul Cousins for the VFL wrap.
About Paddy Voss.
Talk some Paddy Voss.
Simply must.
After this. This halftime break is brought to you by Liquorland. Pop into your local Liquorland today and pick up all your favourite drinks. Hey, Ryan. Flybys.
Flybys?
Flybys.
Flybys.
Would you like a chance to win a share of 20 million Flybys points?
Flybys?
Flybys. To enter the draw, just spend $20 on liquor at your local Liquorland from March 1st until April 11th, 2023, in-store or online, and scan your Flybys.
Hold on a second. Are you talking about Flybys?
I'm talking about Flybys.
Flybys.
Flybys. Every $20 you spend will put you in the running to win one of 3,000 prizes. So get shopping and scanning today and land a share of 20 million Flybys points with Liquorland. Liquorland, from the land you love. Please drink responsibly. Welcome back, everybody. It is the time of the day for the VFL wrap with our great friend Paul Cousins, coming to us from a random pub somewhere in Melbourne. Paul, how are we?
I'm good. Thanks, boys. Actually, we were all better this time last week, weren't we?
I know. I know we were.
It's what we deserve.
Yeah, you're right. We don't deserve happiness, do we?
No.
No.
But
Always
no,
lie.
I'm very, very well. Thank you. How are you guys going?
We're not bad. I feel like we've had a very thoughtful discussion without getting too emotional this evening, which is rare for us.
Unusually analytical.
Yeah.
I think that your listeners tune in for the emotion, boys. I'm not going to speak for them, but I reckon they enjoy when you go wildly over the top.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe when we finish our VFL segment, we'll just make some giant calls before the end of the show, just to wrap up.
Maybe we need to join you at the pub, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You need to get a couple of starters so that you loosen up a bit, boys.
Exactly. Paul, Tough day down in Sandringham by reports. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, it was, to be honest. Look, it was a good game of footy. It was an absolutely magic day down there. By far and away the stillest day we've ever had in Sandringham, that's for sure. It was beautiful and sunny, and that was about where the good stuff ended for us. We started okay, and then Sandy really sort of stepped up their pressure and intensity a bit like the Saints the night before, and we struggled to sort of withstand that early on. Probably had a few decisions not go our way and probably didn't react all that well to them. And that got on top of us a little bit. And, from that point on, sort of from quarter time on, we were facing a bit of a margin most of the day, which we weren't able to get a bit like the AFL. We weren't able to quite get all the way back and almost did. And then Sandy kicked away late. So, look, it wasn't a disaster. They're a good side and played well. It wasn't, a terrible day or anything, but any day where you don't win is a little bit terrible at least.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. It sounds a lot like the Saints game from Saturday night. Now, Paddy Voss, that's the name that's going around town at the moment. How did he play? How did you see his game?
He was very good again. I think he's what is he, 3, 4, 5 and 4 in the last month. I think he's kicked. He got another 4 on the weekend, and got him in a variety of ways. He was able to mark a couple on the lead. He was able to sort of get a few. He set up one goal for someone else with a really nice sort of ground ball and fend off, and he was able to, impact the game in a number of different ways. So kick 4 probably could have had 5 or 6, and it was another really solid day for him. He's at the moment he's not getting a heap of footy, but he's having a huge impact when he does. So it was another day like, the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks have been for him, very similar sort of day. And he was ultra impressive and clearly in our best couple.
So he's in.
As I recall, we went through this last week.
I'm going to do this every time I speak to you, Paul.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah, he's in. Taking it back. No, I can't even joke about that because someone would say, you said he was in. No, I have no idea. But it's one of those ones where I think his form, clearly warrants a hard look from the coaches and selectors, and I'm sure they're having it. But there's also sort of issues around balance and how you, it's not a matter of, as we know, of just putting someone in and hoping they work out. You got to put them into a role that's going to, allow them and the team to succeed. So that'll be up to the selectors and figuring out, if he does go up, who goes out, and does he play the role that the person who goes out plays? Does it all sort of fit together? So particularly when you're talking about a key forward type, because those guys tend to have very specific sort of defined roles. So it's not just you don't want to do the whole square peg in a round hole thing and not put a young kid like Paddy in the best sort of position to succeed. So I'm pretty happy with him kicking 4 or 5 a week with us for the moment, but I'm certain that the powers that be will be having a good hard look at him.
I did want to ask a question about him, Paul. Like, for those who don't see much of AFL footy, they would have all seen his highlights, kicking goals. Can I ask you about what he's like without the ball? So if, we lose the footy in that forward half the ground, like, what's his, follow-up work like? Does he lay tackles, lay some big bumps? Does he help push up the ground if required? Or is he really just, that classic sort of full forward?
At this point, he's been staying pretty close to goal. Yeah, but he certainly works without the footy, and anyone who has watched him play will know he's a massive fan of a big tackle or a big bump, or he enjoys the aggressive sort of stuff and enjoys imposing himself on a contest. So certainly, he's not Alwyn Davey sort of zipping around laying 40 tackles on blokes everywhere, but When he tackles someone, they stay tackled. That's for sure. But he certainly enjoys those kind of pressure acts and that high intensity kind of pressure to be able to put on. As far as getting up the ground and stuff, I mean that'll be a role specific thing. But certainly this season with us, he's stayed relatively close to goal and has got most of his scores and done most of his work. Probably certainly inside the 50. Whether that depending on if he does go up, or he will at some point, but when he does, depending on the role he goes into, I suppose will dictate how far up the ground he gets. But I think he's got a pretty good tank and can sort of get up and down the ground a bit if required.
And someone else we haven't heard much from, honestly, in the last year due to injuries, is Will Snelling, who's getting back into some regular footy. How'd you see his day out?
Yeah, he was terrific. As far as the AFL guys go, if he wasn't, if Paddy wasn't our best, he was, I would have said. He's a ripper. Snell, he just comes in and does his job, no fuss. He's an incredibly personable guy and really goes out of his way to sort of get around the group. And you can see why he's so highly valued in the AFL group as both a player but also as a person and a leader, because he really does bring everyone in together, and he works incredibly hard with them without the ball. And off the top of my head, I think he had about 20 and really impacted the game when he got it. His defensive work was terrific. He covered the ground well. So he's another one who certainly will be getting a look. I think we talked a few weeks ago about the fact that this time last year we barely had a small forward, and now we've seemingly got a whole heap of them. So whether Snell comes in or not, I'm not sure. But his game on the weekend was really, really high class and very impactful. So I thought he was terrific.
And another one of our AFL listed players, Paul, Rhett Montgomery, picked up from the Sandful last year. He's playing that kind of mid-tall in the back line. How's his start to the season been?
He's been super impressive. He's a really, for those who haven't seen him play yet, he's a little bit older. I think he's a really mature body. He's certainly not a kid in frame. He's a strong body, sort of, as you said, a mid-size, almost that sort of third tall size as a back. And he is terrific in the air. He flies at absolutely everything, which is, I think there's times when he probably, the coaches have probably told him to stay down because his instinct is always to fly, which is a good instinct to have. But he's really impactful in the air. He's aggressive at the footy and at the man, and he's playing great footy. I didn't know a lot about him 6 weeks ago. I hadn't seen a whole heap of him other than the occasional training session or whatever. But been incredibly impressed with him since he's been with us, and he's one who looks to have a future to me.
If you were to give him a comparison to an AFL player that the listeners might be able to go, all right, this is who he is similar to. Is there someone around the league you could sort of mirror him to?
I'll probably he might not be quite as big, but thinking about sort of body size and the way he plays aerially and that, and maybe the McGovern brothers, that kind of.
Oh wow!
I was scared you were going to say that.
Yeah. So look, he hasn't. He's not. Obviously they're big comparisons. Whenever we make these comparisons, I don't mean he's as good as Jeremy McGovern today, but
I was thinking Kyle Hardingham.
Sure, Hardy. He was a swing man. I don't know how much he goes forward, but he flies. His instinct is to fly at the footy in the air. He reads it very well, whether he's punching or marking, and similar sort of size to those guys probably, and maybe a little bit smaller, but as you said, that sort of mid-size, long arm kind of player, and then likes to attack with ball in hand as well, and has racked up quite a few possessions and quite a few marks over the first few weeks of the season. So I guess maybe best case scenario, I guess, because those guys are outstanding players, and hopefully he can develop into one of them. But if you're looking for a sort of style and size comparison, I guess they're about the mark.
Yeah.
Now, next Sunday, Easter Sunday, the VFL Bombers will be playing Northern Bullants at Preston City Oval on Sunday, 1:05 p.m. Now, Paul,
what a stinker!
I was going to say, Paul, I know you have nothing to do with the fixture, but I'm filthy that the week it's the closest
Seriously?
to my house. I could ride my bike there, and I could get a Borek at the market and go watch the game.
Have as many cans as you want.
I have to be at lunch at 1:00 with the family on the other side of town, and I am devastated that I can't be there.
Well, I'll see if we can get it changed for you.
Yeah, if you can. If you get it moved to like 9, 10 a.m., then I can be there and then head off to lunch.
About time you do something, Paul.
I know, you're right.
You got to do something for us.
Rhetoric. Look, I'll make some inquiries, but unfortunately for you blokes, I have absolutely no power whatsoever.
No.
So they're all empty words, basically, that I'm throwing at you.
Yeah.
No, I do hate that, and I understand that the fans and people like me hate it when we clash with the AFL as well.
Of course,
yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, but unfortunately, sometimes these things can't be helped, I gather. So, we just got to deal with that. But hopefully, you can maybe you can postpone a bit of lunch action. Can we not? Push your lunch back to about 4:00 or something.
I've spared my family lunch, but I'm going to the footy.
Yeah,
the AFL.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'll be rolling in for the last quarter, maybe, of the AFL if I'm lucky. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, Paul, treat yourself to a Borek from the Preston market, and hopefully the VFL boys get up over the Bullants, and we'll speak to you next week.
No worries, boys.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Cheers, guys.
There we go. Paul Cousins, Essendon VFL president. So good with his time for us. So good with his time. I'm actually so devastated about that time.
Yeah, I know.
When I first looked it
pain
up,
in the arse.
because I was like, so when are they playing the Bullants? Because that's my local game that I can just stroll on down to, regardless of the time. That's Easter Sunday of all the times, and we are a bit stiff just getting Easter Sunday for both sides of the men's, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
But if you don't celebrate Easter, then you wouldn't care. But I'm getting dragged along to some chocolate eggs and
irrespective. It's just annoying
guilt
to have them both at the same time.
Yeah,
Dogs, mate.
It sucks.
Dogs.
Like, I mean, look, I don't know if there's a game on before, but like, surely you'd started at 11 or 11:30, so people can
get some morning cans.
People can kind of attend both.
Yeah,
cans and Borex. It's the way to go.
That's it.
That's the way to go. Preston Market. Merty, any final things from you that you want to raise before we wrap up for another evening?
Nah.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't want to read out the turnover list of every single player that I had here in the run sheet for some reason. I don't know why I did that.
No.
It's really like sometimes I go back and look at these run sheets that I've put together throughout the day, and I'm like, what was I actually thinking about when I wrote these things down? Because like I just wrote here, Mass went at 70% by foot, but there's no follow-up comments of what I was actually thinking about. I just wrote it down. So at some point I was like, oh man, Massimo go, and then I wrote it down, and then I just moved on.
You got a lot of the footy.
Yeah, you did get a lot of the footy.
Good hit tomato. He also turned it over a couple of times.
He did clang out a couple of bad ones.
He has become an Essendon player.
Yeah, he's definitely got the Essington going on.
Plains.
Thursday podcast. If you want to listen to the Thursday preview podcast, sign up to become a premium member. It's just $4.99 a month, or you can pay $42 and get the whole season. Heck, it's that.
That's a bargain.
That's an absolute bargain. You get an extra podcast every single week. You get an ad-free experience. If that's the thing, you don't like hearing us talk about flybys in Liquorland, you can get that you can get it without that. And so other things that we're playing throughout the year. If you're a premium member, you'll get told first about them because we'll mention them in there. I mentioned something there on Thursday, and also you get access to our Discord, which is great. So if you like chatting to other people about the Dons. And you like a good meme and a bit of Plains chat, you can get on the Discord, which is always a bit of fun.
That's it.
Plains beanies, plain scarves available in the store as well. All the money helps us pay for the studio and keep the show going. Mert's sporting a lovely beanie.
The beanies are sick.
Right now. The beanie's looking real good. Real
Yeah.
good. Scarves good too. If you've got a beanie, send us some photos of you wearing a beanie.
I saw a few beanies at the game.
Did ya?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I'm actually yet to spot one in the wild, which is annoying.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of scarves,
Yeah.
but I haven't actually spotted a plains beanie in the wild just yet.
Yeah.
But if you've got them, send us a photo of you wearing them. More interesting the photo, the better. So maybe if you've got a plains beanie and you're heading overseas, maybe just get a bit of Leaning Tower Pisa, plain beanie, Mona Lisa, plains beanie, that kind of action. That's the kind of thing we want to see because I'll share those on socials.
Actually spotted a beautiful little baby boy in a very interesting Paco.
Oh, really?
Onesie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You saw a baby in a Paco onesie. That's pretty rare.
I gave the baby the Paco onesie.
What was the parents' thoughts on that?
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Tears of joy.
Yeah.
Huge levels of thanks.
Yeah.
Adulation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did they say that it was almost better than the kid itself?
They said it was much better than our friendship.
Yeah.
Or much more valuable than me as a person.
That's good.
If that's what you mean.
That's good. That's good. Well, listeners, if you want to be more valued as a person, maybe go to our merch store and you can
buy some baby kits.
Yeah, you can buy
seriously
all of our designs. You can get printed
everything
on baby kits, which is crazy to think. But
I don't know who thought of it, but yeah,
it's all there.
Maximising it.
Yeah. So if you want a baby kit that has an image of Tipper or Waller, if you want a picture of just Archie Perkins on a baby onesie, maybe you want Gary Moorcroft Mark of the Century, you can just put that on a baby onesie, and that kid will not know that they are sporting some of the hottest baby merch that exists.
Yeah, well, little Connor Healy is absolutely loving his little onesie from all reports.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he learnt how to speak and he thanked you himself in that moment. He just pulled the dummy out and said, "Love Paco," and put it back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Facts actually happened. Listeners, that wraps us up for an evening. We love you all. Thank you for your support as always. Make sure you follow us on the YouTube channels. Might be a little YouTube video coming out this Wednesday. I've been putting some stuff together behind the scenes, just a bit of stuff, just a bit of me.
What do you mean?
Nothing involving you, Mert. Don't
Yeah,
worry. You're not required at all.
That's a fucking throw down.
No. I'm just doing a bit more of your YouTube-y style stuff, which is just going to be me and a camera and my thoughts and my opinions and maybe some gags.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make it a bit of a weekly thing I'm going to try and do, but I had to get a bunch of stuff organised first. So I'm going to try and do that this week.
Sounds good, mate.
Hopefully I have enough time before a dinner I'm getting dragged to on Wednesday night. But
there you go.
Stick around for that. Up the Plains. Go Bombers. We'll see you next time.
Go Paco.
Liquorland are proud partners of the Sash for another season of footy. Would you like the chance to win a share of 20 million Flybuys points?
Wait, hold on a second there, Rob. Are you talking about flybys?
I think he is talking about flybys.
To enter the draw, just spend $20 on liquor at your local Liquorland from March 1st until April 11th, 2023, in-store or online, and scan your flybys.
Flybys. Flybys. Flybys.
Yeah, I love it. Every $20 you spend will put you in the running to win one of 3,000 prizes. So get shopping and scanning today and land a share of 20 million Flybuys points with Liquorland. Liquorland, from the land you love. Please drink responsibly.